Styles against Miz and Morrison. And then later on, Keith Lee came around, of course, yet again, accusing the lack of trust issues with Sheamus, and it issued on to a matchup that was immediately shown with McIntyre saying that no matter who is going to face him next week, the result will be the same, and I will still be the WWE champion. Basic, average, a little cocky promo. Don't mind the confidence builder. He also had a decent promo over later in the show. And it just came up with 2 bro kicks, so that was a surprise over with me. The match was just full, like, muscle against muscle. It was fun. Basic shoulder tackles, big counters with strikes. Of course, a knee strike. Keith Lee came around with a belly-to-belly. It ends with a surprise Spirit Bomb for the victory. So that was practically a decent way to open the show. Keith Lee will face off against Drew McIntyre next week for the WWE Championship in the first episode of 2021 Monday Night Raw. And I wish I'd be more optimistic to hear about the next year's Raw if there was no crowd, lack of a roster, very little story. There's at least intertwining stories over to at least most guys are coming for the WWE Championship. So there's at least compellingness in there's going to be a chase. Don't know much about what they're going to do for the Rumble, thanks they already fired nearly over 50 people over the span of this. By the way, I want to make this fair. I understand it's been an interesting episode of Raw, so if you people can, if anybody's going to show up, I wouldn't mind if some of you guys popped in over to the stream. It would be great if some of you guys had your own opinions on the matter of the show and how you felt. If it was good, if it was bad, mediocre, or you just don't care, or you're just going to scream, AEW, AEW. I don't really care. Over the standpoint of at least there's going to be some semblance of dialogue, so I'd love to hear what's going on in your mind. Other than that, Keith Lee's the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. We also had a match involving Dana Brooke facing off against Shayna Baszler one-on-one. And it was coming off selling off the fact these women already wrestled before. The only benefit is there's supposed to be technically payback over Nia Jax taking Mandy out of injury, and now they're feuding off with Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And it was just a breaking of the arm. We had some belly-to-belly suplex. We had a drop kick. The match just... I just don't compel myself because Dana Brooke isn't that much of an enticing of a wrestler that you won't see that much of exciting moves, and she at least averagely sells enough. I mean, she has a decent figure. She's a really good figure for an athlete. She's just not that enticing. And it comes off with her getting a Kina clutch after a bit more selling over in the arm and her continuing handsprings. So it comes up with the Kina clutch. Then Shayna just, after Mandy was trying to aid her tag team partner, she gets Kina clutched. So the match ends with Shayna just taking out 2 chicks that are supposed to be the top most dangerous chicks there. By the way, what happened with that little relationship thing with Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce? This seems like they just lucked out on that one, even though it's shown that there was a bit of miscommunication. See, that's your problem. There's that lack of formatting that you can do in a 3-hour show that the company just think that they can do on a consistent basis. That's just my opinion on the matter. We also had Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali why don't you just make if he wins or something, or if he loses, that he'll join the Retribution faction. And he still jobs out to these bunch of irrelevant rip-off jobbers. I'd rather have an entire group of Eugenes called the Aces and Eights come around invading Impact frickin' Wrestling than watch Retribution come around just beating this one guy. And I understand if Ali wants to probably get a close friend of him to join, even though he's constantly rejected most of his offers and beat the piss out of him either way. What point of this is evading his messages other than coming here, making a point, always looking like he's dry heaving most of his promos? He just looks so damn awkward. It sucks. The guy he can't just compel, and he's supposed to be this captivating manipulative figure for Retribution, and it just comes around looking so weak, and he just beats him anyway. The match was fine. There was a cool part when Retribution was coming in. There was a huge power bomb from some part of the corner of the ring. He literally did a triangle tornado DDT on T-Bar from the freaking apron. That was crazy. Then he started taking out everybody in sight and he did a running drop kick over to, I think he tossed Ali over to the corner, of the ring post. Crazy spots. Unbelievable. He still jobbed out after trying to go for, I think not the 630, a shooting star press. And Ali just used his finisher to finish the match. Intriguing. That was an average match. The minimalist is that, okay, the Retribution can barely get stuff done except Ali. Even the female unit is nothing interesting about it, or at least Sanity. As much as people give Sanity shit because of how much they undermined most of the talents, the only successful one out of most of Sanity is technically Nikki Cross. Seriously, Nikki freaking Cross. And how much they buried over Eric Young. At least you knew who was the leader, who was the muscle, and who was the crazy one. I'm going over Nikki Cross right now. So that was technically it. There's like no identity over Retribution. Their whole task was completely formatted, completely zoned out as soon as they got hired in kayfabe wise, because they already got contracts. And of course, it just makes them just feel like they've lost purpose in their technical goal they've been focusing on since July of this year. So I have no care for Retribution. There's no interest over Retribution. The only thing right now is just a Hurt Business, what the Fiend is doing, or what the Miz is doing, or what McIntyre is doing. Retribution's out of the equation, and this is supposed to be the begrudging young talent that's getting underutilized by the company, yet they're giving contracts and beating this one guy that's supposed to be a promising star every week. Oh, wow, I'm super freaking invested. Okay. Other than that, we still have, oh god, the show. Okay. Next up, we had AJ Styles built up over a matchup against Elias for some apparent reason over some backhanded insults going over Styles not getting the job done up in TLC or Elias's chances of winning a WWE championship. I'll take the camera off. I don't care anymore. I don't care. So what happened was Elias came playing Jackson Riker some music, and then it came off with Styles just coming around with Amos and wanted to shut the music off, making a joke, just backhandingly assaulting each other, and then it comes over to a match with him saying that he'll break his fingers. This is what I feel like Styles is going to do. That's what I feel like he's going to do. Styles is like the most least intimidating best wrestler you have ever seen. So that's just my opinion on the matter. So, yeah. Oh, God. The match was really good. Decent spots, good counters. I like the instant chemistry, especially off the fireman's carry, especially near a TKO. Styles gets it done with the finish with, I think, the phenomenal forearm. Good counters off the calf crusher. And it ends with Styles just went like, why don't you just have Elias take a win? I don't understand. Why can't you make a heel? I understand he's supposed to be the cowardice, charismatic type. You take it like heels that look bigger than the babyface can't win clean. Why? I understand that sometimes it doesn't look good for your babyface, but your babyface is either going to get the win either way. You don't want to make your heel look on top or ahead of things, especially make Jackson Riker seem credible. That just feels so weak in my opinion. Other than that, it ends with Styles picking up the clean victory. I don't know what else is going to happen. It was two heels wrestling each other. We also had Lince Dorada in the corner of Grand Metalik against The Miz, and they went over how pathetic it was for The Miz trying to ask for his briefcase because he didn't physically cash in. It was Morrison, and he ended up jobbing out over to Grand Metalik. It's an average focus, but why wasn't he complaining over to Adam Pearce? Other than later over in the show, it's like, happy holidays. I bet it's empty. I bet it's empty. I just bet it's freaking empty. But there was no disagreement. There was no argument. This is like something that could have been taking weeks of storyline development into just a few short weeks. 2 weeks. Over cashing in a ladder match. I mean, TLC match. Are you kidding me? It's so weak. So next up, we also had Charlotte Flair against Nia Jax. Or Nia Fats. There's a Z instead of a X. Okay, you understand. All right. So Charlotte started up in action a bit decently. She was barraging over with big boots. The weirdest part of the match was when Asuka was coming to at least try to charge on Shayna Baszler. Then it ended up with Asuka just indirectly running. Like she knew where she was going. She literally was like slowly chasing over Baszler, and she ricocheted over to the conference table. The figure eight was connected, and I think Nia lost. I don't really care. I know they're trying to. Nia did announce herself in the Rumble. Like, I give a damn. They already have to hear about the Slammies. Like, there have to be a male and a female superstar of the year. Then they have to put their peer superstar of the year. Like, I don't care. Other than that, I don't compel myself with whatever in the hell happened later with Adam Pearce just giving out the briefcase over to the freaking Miz. No argument. He just given back the briefcase after like one loss. I understand you want to keep something still focusing on the Miz, but just giving him breach of the briefcase without any sort of a fight like he did with Otis so he can be given a right with the briefcase was pretty weak in my opinion. This should have taken a bit longer, especially if you want to give him the chance to get back the briefcase. Like, at least give it a bit more of a fight, especially for Adam Pearce. They're just giving this a authority figure role for two brands out of nowhere. Completely dumb. And they come around celebrating like a bunch of freaking jobbers. The guys just feel like they just got their first freaking car. Dumb. So we also had, well, it went over the final segment of the show. We also had Angel Garza coming around, talking about the ups, downs, swipe left, swipe right. Like, trying to be charismatic ladies man type spiel over with Charlie Caruso that he's technically been doing for half the year. Still doesn't go anywhere with it. They don't even want to make him like a rip-off Carlito. The guy has potential. He has a look, and he has a look like he has a distinct character. But they just have him over the lower card, just consistently over promos. Just make him squash guys and let him build over a storyline. With Tucker, at least some guys from the 205 Live, I mean the 24/7 thing, if they have nothing going for him, and let him keep chasing the 24/7 title and make him like have a crush on the title or something. Something like that's going to be hilarious. Him just doing this thing to just flirt with nearly everybody is a bit just dodgy, and it's just not going to build him up as being this charismatic dude. Swear to God, I wish we had Hector Garza back in the day. That dude was huge, and he was still a cruiserweight. Even back when he was on TNA. Then we had our final segment of the night. It was technically after Alexa Bliss. Randy came around the Firefly Funhouse breaking up puppets, trying to call out where the Fiend is because he probably knows this was a trap after calling her out in her own show, the Playhouse thing. It ends up with her challenging him to a match. And Alexa came up with freaking lighter fluid and a lighter. So it ends with Alexa pouring little lighter fluid around her, around the ring, and directed Orton right to her so she can get like a lineup of fire. And the lights were going down. Oh, the Fiend is coming. No, Orton comes flashing the light. Bam, that's it. We're off camera. We're out of air. That's it. Why not make it quick, easy, and to the point so I can go home, give the fans something to shock about? Randy just put a woman on fire. Oh my God, this guy's crazy. And this is directly focusing on the psychopathic nature of both men. I'm not saying like, oh my God, what happened to the traditional nature of a heel and babyface? But on that standpoint, who's in the right and who's in the wrong? Orton just putting people on fire, and then you cut off of what in the fuck are we supposed to know? Am I supposed to watch the rest on the network that I don't have anymore? That's just borderline confusing and just dumb. And people complain about Vince Russo. Vince Russo made sure you watched. Orton put a man on fire, then his literal abductee got trying to ask for the man who nearly killed his abductor to be on fire. Cut off. That's it. Now I gotta wait for next week. It's gonna have like as much explanation as like freaking back on WCW. Vampiro doused gallons of blood on Sting on Nitro years ago, like back in 2000. And then the next night, like probably on Thunder, Sting still showed up on that episode, doused in blood. Like, you're not going to explain that come next week why Alexa Bliss is literally covered with burn marks and ashes all over her. That's just dumb. You don't do that, especially in the live programming. Especially with most of the money they're getting. I'm shocked they're not asking for overtime. But even for me, that's asking for way too much because it's 3 hours. All you got to know now is there's going to be Legends Night with most of the guys that are going to give more casual viewers a reason to watch than the actual programming because they're getting more worse at it. Now they're at least focusing on at least giving Keith Lee time for development, even Drew McIntyre, Myers, the work Keith Lee's bringing in. We didn't even have a promo over with Sheamus that he can't even face his own best friend for the title like they've wanted over 15 years, so he's probably going to interfere come next week. That's kind of a given. Because it didn't really focus that much over with Sheamus. I don't care about the New Day and the whole thing with bro, like hard bros. Like, oh God, that's bad. Oh, that's really bad. That's mega bad. And it's like, wow, like what's the whole identity of WWE? And nobody want to bring this over with the PG nature, pussy garbage. WWE doesn't even know what they are. And that wasn't as distinct as like most of the stuff they're doing with the Hurt Business, the Bray Wyatt and Orton feud, or whenever Riddle made that little mature joke when he was going to be in an 8-man tag with the Hurt Business. Like, come on, stick with a theme. You want to make it a bit more toned down, adult like a bit was WWE in this episode, but I just felt like it was mediocre. Hopefully it gets better come Legends Week, even though I had a complaint over that and many other fans because they don't want to watch another episode where the Legends got to bail out WWE for having piss poor ratings over most of these years. So that's my opinion on the matter. Hopefully Raw does do decently, but in my opinion, last week's SmackDown was better than this week's Raw. And it only had 3 matches over on the card. Or 4. And they played it off way better than how Raw been doing over the last couple weeks. And they have more star power. And currently they only have one compelling storyline. But that's technically it. notice anything else happening over the rest of the episode. I don't really care. They didn't even focus on the 24/7 championship, even though it would be the same garbage with R-Truth taking it because they have no talent, because they keep Drew Gulak, that's just a guy in tights with no knee pads, jobbing out, just being a cruiserweight technician with no character. Tucker, that's just a fat Baron Walker. If you don't remember him, he was Chris Harris from TNA. That's what Tucker is. He's just the Chris Harris of heavy machinery. Just a big size, decent athleticism, no charisma, no fan connection. Akira Tozawa, that's just a worse Tajiri. And R-Truth, that just carries the whole comedic load because the main roster's not that funny. There was decent wrestling, but nothing else was that good. Hopefully, Raw gets better next week. That's all I want. Come next year. Now, if you guys want me to do the best parts of 2020 for pro wrestling, please, I will be uploading that come the 32nd of December. So get ready for that one. Other than that, that's it coming from the DST show. If you guys, even when the stream is out and finished, you guys take your time to watch it, please. Thank you for taking your time to at least watch some of my content. And hopefully you'll come and watch for more. Thanks again for 30 subs. Hopefully I grow up to 40 to 50 come next year. That's it for me. Good night.